This episode is titled Read My Lips. It came out on May 10th, 1993. Directed by Boyd Kirkland, story by Alan Burnett and Michael Reeves, and written by Joe R. Lansdale, with animation by TMS.
Joe
Featuring...
R. Lansdale. Ba, ba, da, ba, 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 ba. His name's Joe R. Lansdale.
Featuring Kevin Conroy as Batman, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, Efren Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, George
Zimbalist
Dzundza.
Jr.
No!
Efren Zimbalist Jr.
George Dzundza as Scarface.
Dzundza Bob. I
Wow,
hardly
really?
know
I
him.
cue you up. There we go. Earl Bowen is the Rhino, Joe Piscopo as Muggsy and the Manager, and Neil Ross as Ratso. Honorable mentions here. TMS animated this episode, and they previously produced many episodes we've reviewed, some of the best being Fear of Victory, Two-Face Part 1, Feet of Clay Part 2, Harley and Ivy, and The Demon's Quest Part 1. Director Boyd Kirkland has been credited previously in our Nothing to Fear review, and story developers Alan Burnett and Michael Reeves have both been credited previously on the show, as well as Alan Burnett being a previous guest of this podcast. And then finally, writer Joe R. Lansdale has been credited previously in our review of Perchance to Dream. So, yeah, some pretty heavy hitters there behind the writing of this episode, and I think it shows.
It's a great episode.
I like it a lot.
Acting creds here. All returning voice actors have been credited previously on this podcast in their first appearance on this show, such as George Dzundza. Yeah, I know. What the blah. Tongue-tied and twisted. Just to help.
Tongue-tied, twisted, I'm yours.
Such as George Dzundza in The Laughing Fish and Neil Ross in The Cat and the Claw Part 1. Neil Ross also a guest of our last podcast, Spider-Man the Animated Series podcast, as he voiced the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. Another guy that could do two very different sounding voices, which is impressive.
I can't guarantee its stability.
Spare me your warnings, Osborn.
And as far as new acting creds go for this show, Joe Piscopo. Hey, I'm Joe Piscopo. You gonna Piscopo on my shoes over here?
Keep going.
You can't Piscopo down my back and tell me it's rain.
Tell me it's raining, not just rain. What's that down my back? It's rain.
Maybe I'll flip on a shoe or whatever you were saying earlier.
Flip on a shoe. Twist of a heel.
Well. How the turntables...
Joe Piscopo, who plays Muggsy, is also mostly known for the various roles he played in Saturday Night Live in 1975 through 1980.
You all right? You need a second
I
to...
don't know, maybe I'm having a stroke.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
And then the final credit here, Earl Bowen, who plays Rhino, will reprise his role in future episodes, as well as playing Simon Stagg in Justice League. He's also known for playing Sergei Golukovic in the Metal Gear Solid games. I don't know who that character is. Do you know who that is?
Is he the guy from 3?
He's in number 2 as well. He's in Sons of Liberty. I looked it up. Yeah. So he must be
Is he the vampire guy?
Oh, maybe he is. Yeah, he's definitely a boss. I know that much.
Or the bomb dude?
The Mad Bomb. Yeah, maybe. But he was in number 1, which I don't think... Well, he might have been voiced by someone else. But anyway, he's Sergei Golukovic in the Metal Gear Solid games, the voice of Rhino, as well as Dr. Silberman in the Terminator movies, who's the psychiatrist in number 2 and number 3, I think. And he sadly passed away in 2023 at the age of 81.
That's weird. I just saw him on my TV today when I was watching a Terminator 2 random video on YouTube, and he was in it.
Oh.
So that's weird.
That's the Rhino.
Batman's got me figured, Scarface. I don't know how, but he came down on me like a cast iron safe.
Okay, we got utility belt of fun facts here. According to Paul Dini, Warner Brothers wanted the ventriloquist to be a bad imitator and constantly mispronounce his words, kind of like me today. Obviously, Paul Dini... You're such a prick. Obviously, Paul Dini talked him out of it, or them out of it. You're making me second guess myself now. I hate you. You're in my head.
Everything you do is
You're like
great.
Scarface messing with me right now. Stop it.
But they're like you, Mugs. Stupid. Not smart like me.
Use Mugs.
Okay. In the audio commentary on the Batman the Animated Series DVD set, Bruce Timm stated that the setting of Wesker's lair, which is filled with mannequins, is inspired by Stanley Kubrick's Killer's Kiss, which came out in 1955, where a climactic fight scene takes place in a warehouse filled with mannequins. Have you ever seen that movie?
Nope.
Neither have I. Then we've got Joe R. Lansdale has cited the 1945 film Dead of Night, the Twilight Zone episode The Dummy, as sources of inspiration when discussing this episode's slant towards horror. Which is cool. Then we got Batman references his time studying with Zatara in this episode, a reference to the flashback we saw in the Zatanna episode previously. What's next? Alan Burnett told us when he came on our show that Scarface is one of his favorite characters, and he loves the duality there.
Yep.
I adore that as well. I think that's such a cool angle for a Batman villain. Then second to last here, Boyd Kirkland listed this episode among his favorites that he directed, mainly for its jazzy music and film noir feeling.
Yeah.
And forgetting to shoot that dummy to pieces on screen at the end, he said he enjoyed very much. And then the final fact, Rhino says yippee-ki-yay during the robbery, which is a reference to what cowboys would say during a train robbery, as well as an obvious nod to Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
When he said that, I was like, why is there a Die Hard reference in here? And then, obviously, he's getting it from cowboy movies, which he even references in the movie itself. So I was like, there it is.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
So yeah, after all those facts, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was great. A breath of fresh fucking air for the past couple episodes we've seen. Loved the super noir vibes. This feels like early Detective Comics with Batman going up against mobs, which is my peanut butter and jam, and I love it very much. Scarface is a great character. I did love all the jazz music, even like the jazzy version of the Batman theme at one point where Batman's on the rooftop. Very much enjoyed that. And yeah, it was just good fun. I love the goons. I mean, Ratso is your name? It's like, if he was fat, it would just be Fatso. So maybe he was fat. Maybe he worked for, what's his name? Rupert Thorne. They called him Fatso. And then he lost that weight. And like they all saw that he had like a gaunt rat face. They're like, you're Ratso now. Ratso? That's worse than Fatso somehow. And
he did have the biggest front teeth. I felt so bad for him. And
he's like, fuck this. I'm just going to get fat again. And he gets fat again. Like, whoa, Ratso so fatso. That's your new name. Ratso so fatso. It's like,
Fatty Ratty.
Fatty Ratty. Love it. Welcome to the squad, you fat fuck. You're fat.
Yeah, I did love all the henchmen with their little traits. Well, one of them didn't have it. Obviously Rhino. Yeah, he was new. So yeah, what do you think he would end up being? Like some sort of animal? Like
it has to be. You got Rhino. You got a rat. So I don't know. Be the weasel. Get over here, weasel.
Weasel. There you go. That would be a good one.
The squid's coming to join the squad.
Or something really like they're like, hey, meerkat, get over here. He's like, meerkat? Where'd you get that one from?
Hey, alpaca, you packing heat? Huh? It's a stretch. I know you don't really look like an animal, so we just got to make something up.
Hey, Joe the Camel. You smoking a cigarette, so I'll call you Joe the Camel.
Yeah, you love those smokes, don't you, Joe? The Camel. Camel Joe. You love camel toe, and your name is Camel Joe. We got them. When did I ever say that was a preference of mine? Hey, you look like the type.
So besides his henchmen, what did you think of Scarface and the ventriloquist themselves?
Scarface said, I wish you so.
Oh my god. Is that going to happen every time now?
No. Yeah, Scarface looks fantastic. He is also weirdly intimidating in the show.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he turns and like looks at one of the people because they said something wrong. And if that happened to me, I'd be a little freaked out. Even Batman's freaked out in this episode when he walks in and he opens his eyes and Batman's like, ah!
I love how Batman, who literally when he gets sprayed with fear toxin, literally can conquer his fears during it, but he touches a dummy and opens his eyes and he's like, oh my fucking god, it's alive. I was waiting for him to just run out the room and be like, nope.
Get out of there, sir. Get out of there right now. Do not want to bring that haunted shit back to Wayne Manor.
Yeah, I laughed at that, and I love just the way Scarface speaks in this episode. Just his total going in for like Al Capone, total 1940s gangster feel. I think it's amazing. And then the fact that it's the same guy that can make Arnold Wesker sound totally different and like afraid, and just that his voice sounds like weedy, you know what I mean, and like whimpery. I love that. I think it's amazing. And I did a little digging on the backstory of Scarface and Arnold Wesker, because I was like, I don't actually know the comic book origins of the character. And apparently, as a kid, Wesker belonged to a very like notorious crime family. Okay. And what happened was, for revenge, the opposing crime boss murdered Wesker's mum in front of him.
Oh, and that little Dexter situation going on.
Little Dex situation, that's true. And he like became like an afraid, frail, like little kid, but he channeled his anger and his like hatred and his gangster influence into this doll. And then when he became old enough, went out with Scarface and went and killed every single member of the opposing crime family.
Nice.
Yeah. Which
I'm
is
on Scarface's
so cool.
side. Maybe that sounds dope.
Yeah, I kind of want to see that. If you're going to do a standalone Batman villain movie, maybe do that, because that sounds fucking awesome.
That does sound sweet.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool, and I think he's the best in this. I really do. I've never seen a better version than in this show.
I think I have seen another version of him besides the comics.
I've seen him in other cartoons like the Batman. I think he's in that. Okay. But yeah, not many appearances, and I've seen him in like YouTube live action shorts or whatever. But that doesn't really count.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, you're seeing what like I know, but there was a time where people were like remaking. They were making inspired Batman movies from like the Nolan verse. So they're like, this is what he would be like in the Nolan verse, and I'm like, that's one of the easiest villains to do for the Nolan verse, because he's just a guy with a dummy, But this one does it really well.
It's just such an interesting character. I would love to see a team up between Two-Face and the man with two voices. You know what I'm saying? That'd be really fun.
Ooh, that would be good. Yeah, and also how like Scarface would talk back to Two-Face, but like Wesker would be like, no, like Mr. Scarface, that's Two-Face. And he's like, I'm the only face around here. And he's like, no, I've got two. I can see those conversations being very confusing.
There's a lot of great puns you could do. And there would be a gruesome twosome as well.
Ooh.
I would like to see this happen.
People at DC?
I'm just going to put this in my big file that I have written called, if DC ever asked me to pitch Batman, here's what I pitched them. So I'm just going to add that.
What if they went out to dinner and they brought their henchmen?
Two entrees.
And what if when they're like, who's picking up the check? They're like, Mr. Face. And they're like, which one?
Yeah. Bill it to Mr. Face. That's fun. Yeah, Two-Face, Scarface. They even have the names. Oh my god. Two-Face, Scarface, team up.
I can see your pitch to DC. Two-Face, Scarface, they both got face in the name. Can we make this happen?
Two-Face, Scarface, team up. -- shenanigans ensue. That's enough.
The gruesome twosome, as you said.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the music earlier, and I agree. The score slaps in this episode. That upright bass is doing all the work.
Yeah. Not as good as the music in the Bullet for Bullock episode, because that was great jazz, but this is still fantastic.
Yeah, I do love the Batman score when they're blending it into the music theme of the episode. And you're right, when he's running across the rooftops and it's like down, 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 as he's like doing the jazz bit with it. I thought that was great. And then obviously the animation. What did you think of TMS with their crack at this episode?
Yeah, no, I didn't notice anything bad with it. I enjoyed it very much. The only thing was Rhino gets hit at one point and falls backwards, and like he's fully facing away from Batman, but his legs are pointing towards Batman, and it's just anatomically impossible. I'd be like, there's no way that big guy is that flexible. Like, I'm a big guy, and it's a struggle to flex like that. So, because I'm ripped, right? Everybody, you could see that, right? I'm not fat. I'm just a big. They call me Rhino because I'm ripped, not because I have psoriasis and I'm fat.
Yeah, well, maybe don't bring your camera down ever.
Says you who accidentally put my butt cheeks and my belly on one episode that I had to get you to go in and re-edit. I was like, buddy, you put in the public my arse crack and my belly. And you were like, no, I didn't. And I like took a screenshot and you're like, oh, that's your butt crack and your belly.
This is why we have an editor now.
That's right.
Because I tried to... Actually, I'm not going to say what episode it was because I don't want people to go back because it's not there anymore. But yeah, that was my bad. Well, I tell you what, though, going back to TMS, I think that they do a really good job with Batman episodes. I mean, Two-Face Part 1, Feet to Clay Part 2, like some of the best episodes, animation-wise as well. And even we noticed Demon's Quest Part 1, the way the Batcave pops and like the orange in the Batcave. Like, I love that. And
but
the way
then
they
again,
bring that.
There's nothing in this episode to me that says it was done by that team.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the one, besides the Batcave orange, which is a giveaway for me, the thing that I noticed was when Batman's looking in through the skylight. That is when TMS brought it, because there's one shot where Batman, like, after he's seen Scarface and the thugs walk away, he's in the foreground and he's like rubbing his chin and they're in the background. And the perspective, I was like, that's, some tricky stuff to animate and do right with that change in perspective. So that's the one shot that I really was like, okay, there's TMS. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. It kind of blends. But yeah, I mean, like this episode, the way it starts, that boxing match at the beginning, felt like a Spider-Man's origin, like about to happen. I was expecting Tobey Maguire to be like, he's a 48-year-old man pretending to be 17, being like, that's not my problem. It's like they were getting robbed.
Yeah.
What happened to the lights? What the heck? Cut him off in the lobby and call the cops!
You could have taken that guy apart. Now he's going to get away with my money.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
The one line that stands out for me is, put the money in the bag.
The
way he goes, bag.
Put the money in the bag.
It's like he's got a bag in his mouth as he's saying, he's like, bag.
Put the money in my mouth.
The hell?
Put the money in the bag.
And Rhino is an absolute fucking giant.
I am the Rhino.
Oh, no, we haven't had that in a while. Yeah, you see him like silhouetted in the dark during the robbery next to the other thugs, and it looks like the Avengers lineup, and he's the Hulk. Like he is so big.
He's a big boy.
I love when Batman sees him in the alleyway later on, and he's like poking him, and he looked like a kid asking his parent for something.
Yeah. Look, buddy.
It was cool to see Batman go up against someone that was that much bigger than him as well. Like, I know Ubu's a bit bigger, but Rhino, too big.
No, Rhino's big, definitely bigger than Ubu, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What was the stuff they were stealing from that boat?
Platinum.
Okay. Is platinum really heavy then?
I don't know, but if it must be.
Because the guy that grabbed it was like, as he passed it to Rhino, like he had never lifted anything in planet Earth ever.
Yeah, and I know it was a set-up plan to capture Batman and find out who the rat is. But the whole point of the robbery was to obviously make off with the platinum as well. One, how are they going to make off with all that platinum in a tiny speedboat if it weighs that much? Like, they'd only be able to take like 20 bars of it. Yeah. And then two, when it's pushed onto Batman, he would be dead if it weighs that much. Like, he would be like a pancake, a bat cake after that.
And three, why didn't they take his fucking mask off when they hung him up?
That's I totally agree. Like, I hate how they do that. It's always something that I'm like, could you have thought of another way
to
get him tied up?
The only time I like it is with with the Joker where he says "leave it," it's always disappointing to whatever he says. I think it's a Paul Dini episode.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Harley's like about to take his mask off, and he says like "leave it." It's always going to be disappointing or something like that. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure I remember that exactly, but yeah, when that does come up in those situations and they explain why they haven't taken it off, great. But when it just kind of, I know it's a kid's show, so it's like, all right, we're thinking about it more as adults.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, it's always something where I'm like, nah, I wish there must have been another way you could have written that scene to get him tied up in the warehouse without having to set him up with a boat robbery and knock him out and bring him back,
You're not as smart as you think you are, Scarface.
I'd watch my mouth if I were you, Bats.
And then the next thing that I have here is, speaking of Scarface's hideout, I love that it's like just a room full of bust up mannequins, like especially the trapdoor with the spiked hands. I thought that was a really cool little place for a villain.
Well, I was like, he's going to fall and that's going to kill him.
Well, I guess so. If the platinum bars didn't kill him, I guess spiky fingernails is going to do the job.
Sayonara, Batman. They're going to cut the rope. It's going to be like, ow! Oh! Ow, it's prickly in here. Oh! Ow!
That one broke the skin.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Why aren't you dead?
Yous? Yeah, yous guys. Batman. There's two of yous. One's a bat, one's a man. I can't see. I have wooden eyes. Someone tell me what's going on. Is he dead? The razor sharp fingernails got him, right? I knew they would. He left, boss. Oh, he did?
Yeah, he said, I'm not going to fight a puppet. This is bullshit.
Whoa, puppet, where? One of you mugs? Yeah, a bunch of puppets. Yeah, a bunch of muppets, actually. All right, crime. So what are we going to do? They're like, somehow the ventriloquist left. This is really impressive. He's just speaking, but the mouth is still moving. Are you real? Of course I'm real, dummy. Dummy. Maybe I should go do a little stand-up number or something like that. No, sorry, all spots are taken.
Can you imagine if he did go on stage and have a little act with Scarface? That'd be fun. If they're just like, Mr. Scarface, tell me a story. He's just like, story? Nah.
I'm not very good at this. Oh, it's a bit intimidating when you're up here with the lights on you. I'm not good at improv. I should have written stuff down.
Nah, what the fuck
That's my I thought it would be my catchphrase. Nah. That's what I'd say to everything. Mr. Scarface, you want to say hello to our nice, lovely crowd? Nah. And everyone laughs. They're going to make a sitcom out of it.
I was trying to think of Jeff Dunham, but I couldn't think of any of the jokes that Jeff Dunham used to make.
Because none of them are good, that's why.
None of them are good. He had a Batmobile as well, I think. He had a Tim Burton Batmobile. I remember seeing him driving around it, and I was like, you're the ventriloquist, buddy, not Batman.
Jeff, a freaking Batmobile.
Not a Batmobile,
The Batmobile.
But on the inside, we made it drivable. And we put an LS7 engine in it, a Corvette engine in it. We changed the suspension, put air conditioning in it.
Cool.
Yeah, but that hideout with all of the mannequins and stuff, it looked like a scene out of Saw as well. Like
Seesaw.
Seesaw.
Of course I see
you used to cut the wood. You use a seesaw to cut the wood.
Yeah, I see saws, you see saws. Who saw the seas use mugs? Oh, yeah, that's my theme, but in a jazz version.
Oh!
Skeet, scat, scat. And his name is Scarface. And what's he say? You want to do some crime? Nah!
Doobie-doo-doo. Doobie-doo. Doobie-doo.
You see that broad over there? She's a solid 10. Hey! Solid because she's wood. I'm looking at a mannequin. It's called a joke. You're supposed to laugh at those jokes.
Nah.
Oh, well, you don't want to laugh? Nah, that's my line. Scuba-doo-doo.
When I was singing Santa Claus is coming to town.
Hey, I was going to tell my next joke, but my mind went blank. Oh. You know, like a plank of wood. Like he always explains the joke afterwards. You know, planks, blank. Anyone? So someone said to me, hey, what size do you like your woman? I say 2x4. 2x4 because that's the measurement of the wood.
You keep on singing Santa Claus is coming to town. This is my Christmas special, see?
What jokes?
And even
go on, you're up. God. You're up. You do a wood joke.
This wine is oaky.
Wait a minute. Would you like another glass?
Nah.
Nah, because that's my catchphrase. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Scarface is coming to a stage near you.
One bullet through that rope and your history. Get my point?
Okay, so we get some classic exposition of spinning newspapers with the music, and it just reminds me of Batman 89 so much, like when Smilex was in all the newspapers. I love seeing that in this show. Like, exposition, diddle diddle diddle, as it's like spinning towards it.
I wonder what kicked that trope off.
What, the newspapers spinning?
Yeah. What was it? Was like Citizen Kane or something like that was the first one to do it?
I was going to say, it's got to be like a classic sort of film noir that just kind of set the tone where people are like, wow, that's a great way to do exposition without having to write dialogue and move the story along.
Alfred, let's go shopping.
Yes, sir.
Who was the first person to like the like establishing shot and flying newspaper like gives you the exposition that you need? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe if we spin it really fast and throw it at the screen. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like in the film Day of the Dead, like it's like the wind's blowing and then a newspaper like hits up against like an abandoned city and it says the dead walk and you're like, oh shit, the dead people are walking, you know? But like they weren't even the first film to do that. Like I'm talking about like, you know, it's an established shot and like the wind is blustering and it's like, you know, aliens take over the world, like everyone like dead and stuff like that. Who's the first one to do that? You tell me.
I don't know. I'm waiting for you to be like, and I was waiting for a joke. Maybe there's a wood reference in there somewhere. So Batman does the coolest sneak up on Gordon. I
had a little kid the other day. Yeah, he's a real chip off the old block. Chip of the old block. That's the saying when you say that, you know, apples are far from the tree. Like that. Anyone?
Hey, I saw a dog the other day and it went bark, bark. Because, you know, tree bark. And I looked at it and I went, nah.
Not my type. More of a Rosewood guy. She tried to get with me, and I said, "Hey, lady, you're bugging up the wrong tree."
You just did the same joke I did.
Hey, I did it better though.
You stole my joke. Don't steal my joke.
So Batman does the coolest sneak up on Gordon in this episode. He's the sneakiest of the sneaks in this one. You see, like the shades flowing and he just quickly jumps into the room. And I thought, imagine being Batman in that moment, because Gordon at one point turns and looks at the darkness, doesn't see him and turns away. Do you think Batman's in the dark like, don't move. He hasn't seen you.
No, he's probably like, he's like, sick. I'm so cute. I didn't see me. Imagine he like snuck in and like, because his windows are open. So he like sneaks in. He's like, why is Gordon got his windows open? And Gordon's just in there ripping major ass because it was curry night the night before, and he's like in the darkness about to come out, and it's just like, and he's like, he goes back into the darkness like.
No, he just drops out of the darkness onto the bed. Whoa!
No!
It's like, oh shit. Didn't know you were there, Batman.
Oh, right? Shit. Oh, what? Jesus Christ.
The
It was just farts.
Do you think like a Batman places...
Batman dropping like knockout from the darkness after someone farts is a very funny mental image. I cannot wait to watch you do that little bit with the big pause, and you just had nothing. You froze.
I had
you
nothing.
You froze so hard. It was so funny.
Flashback.
Mr. Scarface, tell me a story. He's just like, story? Nah.
How about leaving the comedy to me, you fucking snowflakes? Sorry, just having a little sip of wine in between that.
Hey, did you hear about the guy walked into a doctor's office with a frog on his head? Doctor says, that's the weirdest looking wart I've ever seen. Frog looks up and says,
nah. So Alfred cracks one of my favorite jokes in this episode when they're reviewing the CCTV footage, as he says, not much of a plot, is it, sir? And I was like, that is just such a great line for Alfred to have there. And according to Batman, the thieves are clever because they're wearing masks and gloves.
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
Like, is that him just being like,
Alfred,
I'm clever?
These guys are the most ingenious criminals I've ever seen. What do you mean, sir? Gloves? Masks? Sound familiar to you? They're copying my MO.
And also, if that's all it takes to get away with crime in Gotham, then no wonder Gotham's a mess, where it's just like, I'm going to commit a crime and they'll never catch me. Let me put on my gloves and my mask. Like,
sorry,
what?
Batman, this is an unsolvable case. Apparently they were wearing gloves and they had masks on. Oh, again with these gloves and masks on. Oh, we got to stop selling gloves and masks in Gotham City.
Do you think he was an anti-masker during COVID?
Yeah, well, wearing a full mask. He's like, yeah, but it's literally the opposite.
he's the actual epitome of an anti-masker.
Yeah, I'm like, literally cover everything else up but the hole and the nostrils. That's all we need.
The hole. He doesn't even call it his mouth, he calls it
It's called the hole.
Oh, a gas mask. Perhaps you are as resourceful as they say.
And when Batman confronts Rhino in the alleyway, I love how the steam rises up from the vent and suddenly Batman's just appears behind it. It was almost my Love That Batman moment.
Who you looking for, Bat Breath?
First guess is you.
I have a question that I've never known.
Yeah.
Where does this steam come from in, like, New York City and these cities?
I actually don't know.
Is it like washing machines or something like that? Because I know, obviously, in England, like, we all have the pipes that shoot out our walls that put the steam out from the washing machine.
It's surely not just washing machines. There's got to be...
Because why is there loads of steam?
Gas mains?
Why are they steaming?
Because obviously gas is hot when it's supplying gas to multiple businesses and houses. Like, I'm taking a guess here. I'm not saying that's it.
Why would gas produce steam, which is just a different version of water? Yeah, water vapor.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Someone let us know, and that's intelligent, because I can't be bothered to Google it. But it's one of those things where I've always been like, I want to draw it in stuff, because I always thought it was cool.
We're a couple of dummies. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of dummies, and I don't know why steam comes out of grates in the ground. Weird to me. Let me know.
I understand nothing.
So, as we said, I love Batman tailing Rhino and looking in through the skylight when the whole music section is going on. But I laughed, though, when he saw Scarface, and his reaction was like, what the fuck? A puppet? Like, that's who I'm fighting now? I think that's great, because obviously it's so random, and you underestimate, like, how smart and vicious the ventriloquist, I guess, can be. But what do you think Batman thought, like, when he saw the puppet? He's like, I've just fought a guy, like, who thought he was Zeus last week, and now a fucking puppet, a dummy? Really?
Well, I think for Batman, after things like Killer Croc, Two-Face, Clayface, and Ra's al Ghul, he'd be a little more stitious, where he'd be like, is that shit real? Is this a real little, so we got some demon shit, soul of like a little dead mobster inside this wooden doll or some puppetry. Annabelle situation with a crime lord. Could be. I'm gonna chuck it out the window.
He dresses Scarface up in like an Annabelle costume one day. He's like, Tommy, what are you doing here? I'm in a skirt. I look like a dame. Change me, will ya? Nah.
Overused now.
I'm gonna try and make it work.
That's the jump.
It was all part of the plan.
That's the jumping of the shark episode of that show where everyone's like, they just used the nair too much.
It was funny, but they ruined it. So I thought it was sweet that the ventriloquist tucks Scarface into bed at night. I thought that was such a lovely little thing he did. He dresses him up in like little pajamas, puts like milk and cookies out for him, closes his little eyes.
He had
like,
milk and cookies?
Yeah, at the bedside table, it like pans
Was
over.
fucking
on point.
Santa coming?
Do you think he also reads him a bedtime story, like a chapter from like Harry Potter or something like that? He does all the different voices for the characters.
Yeah, whoa, you're really good at voices. Thank you, Mr. Scarface.
I mean, thank you, Mr. Scarface.
And then that's why I sent him over there, I did. Whoa, who's that guy? What's that voice?
I thought that was a fun little add to their little relationship. You know, that said a lot if he's tucking him into bed. And I felt so sad for the ventriloquist. Like, we see his bedroom and it's just a hole in the wall with like patched up bed sheets and like holes in the wall, literally. Like, it's just such a dump. And I'm like, he's letting his dummy, obviously we know they're dynamic, but I thought that just, it says a lot about that character where he's like, Mr. Scarface sleeps in the suite and I sleep in like the servant quarters. It's crazy, but that's why I like it. It's a cool character.
I'm looking for evidence. Evidence of your previous robberies.
Robberies?
And I was also surprised, but I thought it was fun that even Batman was like impressed with how Arnold could throw his voice to make it sound like, you know, Scarface in the next room. Like, Batman
Well, not
looked
just
at the
that,
door.
on a technical level, he said that the computer is struggling to pinpoint it being from the same person.
Yeah, and like Batman looked at the door when he heard the voice coming from the door, and he's like, "Is that actually coming from next door?" Like, he like second guess. He's like, "Is this real? Tell me if this is real."
He's like, hey Siri, repeat this message. He's got like all like the different like speakers around the house. Everyone's like, "Whoa, he's really good. He sound like he's coming from next door." It's just Siri.
It's the robot from his Silicon Soul. It's been repurposed to be a speaker around the house.
He's a Bluetooth speaker and he sucks a mean dick.
I suck a mean dick. Not now, robot. We have company.
Awkward.
So I also loved like how Scarface even orders his men to shoot Wesker at one point, which they even like, they're like, boss, like that means the end of you. And that's just, again, it shows how separate the two characters are. It's just so good.
I'm surrounded by traitors. Okay, fine. You want something done right? Do it yourself.
I loved Batman using ventriloquism to turn Scarface against Wesker, like using his own, you know, I learnt with, and they build that up well by like, I studied with Zatanna or Zatara back in the day, so it wasn't far-fetched. But
it reminds me
that was
of
good.
From Kung Pao to the Fist, when the bad guy Benny comes and the two ventriloquists, and it just shows the guy, his mouth doesn't move at all. He's like, "It's me, the chosen one, outside of the wall." Oh. He's like, "Ventriloquist, huh?
Ventriloquist, huh?"
Okay, so at the end, Batman uses ventriloquism against Scarface, and then obviously takes down the goons. And my love that Batman moment is actually when he's fighting Rhino at the end, which is a cool fight, by the way. And he turns in shadow with his fist out, and he just looks so cool in that moment, like silhouetted. I think he looks really cool.
My favorite love that Batman is when the ventriloquist is crying over Scarface all shut up and Batman's silhouetted in the background.
Yes, that was also a really cool shot. I like that a lot. Scarface gets shot to splinters and Batman takes down the rest of his men. And we cut to Arkham, where Wesker is in the woodshop, as doctors discuss his rehabilitation progress, and then we see what he's working on as he rolls it over and carves a scar into a dummy's face.
It doesn't make sense at all.
No.
The doctor's like, wow, he shows no signs of his past personality at all. What are you
What's he
on
working
there?
on?
A dummy's face.
Hold on. Let me just carve a scar into that face.
A scarred dummy's face? Very good. He's getting over it.
Yeah, as much as I love this episode, the ending, I'm like, no wonder Arkham psychiatrists like suck at their jobs. You know what I mean? They literally watch this guy. It'd be like, the Joker is cured, and he's just like applying lipstick and like being a creepy clown.
Maybe the Wayne Foundation doesn't fund it as well because he's like, well, I need shit to do, you know. Fighting the mob all the time is kind of boring.
Yeah. Also, don't let him into woodshop. Like, that's the last place you need to let him be. Like, put him in the laundry room, the other places that I don't know about in prison because I've never been there, thankfully. But yeah, not woodshop. Get in the license plate making machine that Penguin was doing in the mechanic episode. He'd probably write Scarface on the license plate and then carve a scar into it. Nah.
I love right now this whole episode. I'm just letting you go, and it's great.
Yeah, I hate you. But the one thing I was thinking was like Batman villains, because we come across this villain. I always think about how Batman villains are always like what if Bruce Wayne didn't become Batman? He could have ended up being like some of these villains, like, you know, Two-Face and Joker's the only exception, I think, but there's a lot of comparisons. Penguin, yeah. And I guess this one as well, kind of, because like his parents were killed and he could have like, you know, gone mad, and especially when he was studying ventriloquism with Zatara. Like, do you think he had a little dummy to practice with when he was like training with Zatara?
Batman does have a backup personality of the Batman.
Oh, he
from
does.
Zin Ra 2 or whatever it's called.
You're right, like a reboot personality, right?
Yeah, I think
like,
Grant Morrison brought that in, Batman R.I.P. or something like that. But
yeah.
So he has a little bit of that there. I always thought it'd be cool if there was a story where the Joker's like on the loose doing awful things, and like classic making his video, but he's smiling in the shadows, and then when Batman eventually gets to him, it's actually the ventriloquist with like a little Joker dummy, like trying to like take up like the reins of a new adversary. I don't know the reason why yet, but I just thought
right. No,
the
it's
idea
fun.
The bait and switch being that it's just a puppet Joker that the ventriloquist is controlling is I think is a fun idea.
Like that movie Dead Silence, where the guy in the wheelchair is an actual dead person with like not an exoskeleton, but with like a skeleton that's rigged so he could be a dummy. Like you could do something like that as well, like where he's like doing something with corpses. You know what I mean? Like that could be
like a Weekend at Bernie's situation.
It's me, the Joker. Weekend at Wesker's.
Yeah. Also, as a Resident Evil fan, his name is basically Albert Wesker, who's the main villain of Resident Evil. So it's very annoying to hear his name.
Why wasn't who came first? Because
definitely Scarface. The first Resident Evil didn't come out until like 1996.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, there you go. You know, one series is really good, and one it's not very
really
good.
Great.
You decide. But yeah, I did think with Bruce studying with Zatara, like if he had a little puppet to practice on that he called like Little Bruce or something, and then he's got like puppets of his parents, and he's reenacting the night that they got shot, and like Zatara walks in like, what the fuck? Like, what am I seeing here? No, don't go down the alley, Daddy. I had to get that in. When I wrote that, I was like, this is funny. And I had to get it in.
I am so enjoying not bouncing off of you at all.
Why aren't you doing that, you bastard?
It makes me laugh. Keep going. What else does the puppets of Bruce Wayne's dead parents do? Then Zatara's like, whoa, this guy is crazy. Get me out of here. Whoa. Gonna make myself disappear.
shagging. Just like smashing them together. We're gonna make you a brother, Bruce. That's gonna ignore all your jokes, and he's not gonna rip off of you. He's gonna make you look like a fool on a podcast
that you set up.
Nah. Oh god. Okay, well that is a very long-winded way of saying that's the end of the episode. So we go into our top 3 now, which is Almost Got 'Em, Joker's Favor, and The Laughing Fish. In no particular order, our 3 favorite episodes. Buddy, does this episode replace any of those for you?
Nah.
I agree, it's a no, but it's not an obvious no, because it was a really good episode, and I enjoyed the themes and the vibe of this episode a lot, and Scarface is a great villain. So ranking out of 10, what would you give it out of 10?
8.8.
I gave it a 9. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was very good. So yeah, solid episode. Great to see a good episode of this show. As you said, we've had a few stinkers recently, so it was nice to get that. Then fit check here. Wesker wears a Winnie the Pooh style nightie when he's obviously woken up. He's just got this big old nightie and slippers on, and he wears the Arkham inmate attire at the end, and Scarface is also dressed up in PJs at one point. That's fit check for this week. And then we've also had a very cool suggestion from listener Scotty Holly, who said he made a very good suggestion where he's like, if you guys are looking to, monetize content or trying to find different ways to make some money here, if you watching or listening have a podcast or a channel or a product that you think our subscribers or listeners want to know about, get in touch with us at BatmanTASPod on Instagram or email batmantaspod@gmail.com to discuss fees and details. Because apparently a lot of people are doing this on podcasts where they're like, I really like your show. I also do a podcast. Can I send you a 10-second promo? And then for a fee, you play it on your show. So instead of waiting for advertisers to come in and stuff like that, that's how some people are, making a little extra by doing it themselves. So if you guys listening, if you guys want to discuss details and what the fee would be for that, I'll happily have discussions with you at BatmanTASPod on Insta or email batmantaspod@gmail.com. And thank you, Scotty, for the suggestion.
Thanks, Scotty.
And then next week, we are reviewing the episode The Worry Men. Do you know what that episode is about?
Worry, I'm so painfully shy. Worry.
Worry? You're stalling because you don't know what the episode's about.
I was just singing a great song.
Okay, so you do know what it's about?
No.
Nah. Okay. The Worry Men is about Mad Hatter makes a return. We haven't seen Mad Hatter in a while.
I like Mad Hatter.
And it's to do with little worry men that are brought into the scenario. I won't give away anything if you don't remember this episode. I don't remember it being a great episode, but I don't remember it being a bad one. I guess we'll have to wait and see for next week. It's not in one that's on my usual rewatch. So,
Okey-dokey.
Come back next week. We will be reviewing that.
We will be reviewing it next week.
We bloody well will.